So picking up on page 17, modulate homework 2, rational equations and problem solving. So whenever we're talking about rational equations, remember that means fractions. So we're going to put things in fraction form because that is what test 4 is all about. It says if you drive 112 miles and use 8 gallons of gas, what is your rate of gas consumption? So rate is another way of putting it in fraction form. So notice down here it says miles per gallon. That word per is what operation in math? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Divide. Thank you. So it's going to be miles per, so divided by gallons, miles per gallon. So it tells us in the problem 112 miles for 8 gallons. So 112 miles divided by 8 gallons. Let's divide that out to simplify our fraction. 112 divided by 8, and that will give us 14 miles per gallon. 14 miles per gallon. And that's it. So questions on this one before we go to the next one? The next one says, find the unknown number in the proportion. So proportion is just two fractions that are set equal. So a fraction that equals another fraction. A fraction that equals another fraction. So I'm thinking, because what I usually do for this problem is like solve it using math and then I show you the shortcut. But I feel like no one ever solves it using math. Everyone just uses a shortcut. So it might be, let's just use a shortcut and go from there. So that way you're not confused with two different options. So whenever you have a proportion, you are going to think cross multiply. So now is whenever the cross multiplying comes into play. So let's cross multiply. So that means 15 times x, which is 15x, equals 35 times 27, I don't know, 945. So 15x equals 945. I cross multiplied to get rid of my fractions. Technically what we're doing is we're multiplying by the denominator, so that's kind of why this works. So if I have 15 times x, how could I get x by itself? Divide by 15. Thank you. That way those cancel. So we're left over with x equals 945 divided by 15, which is 63. Done. We found the unknown number, 63. These are nice compared to what we've been doing. Makes you appreciate the shorter problems. All right, so any other questions on this one before we go to the next one? The next example says, if Wendy rides for 8 hours on a bicycle, what is her rate if she rides for 24 miles? So we want her rate. Her rate is like how fast you're going, so like your speed. So we know speed is miles per hour. We know that per means divide. So we know it's going to be miles divided by hours. So in the problem, it tells us 24 miles. And it tells us 8 hours. So 24 miles per 8 hours. 24 miles, 8 hours. So dividing that out in our calculator, 24 divided by 8 will give us 3. So her rate is 3 miles per hour. 3 miles per hour. And that's it for this first page. Questions, comments, concerns? How can I help make this easier for you? If not, let's go to the next page. So you need 1 1/4 cups of sugar to make 20 cookies. This one was the hardest one I can find because it had the fractions in it. It says to make 16 cookies, you'll need blank cups of sugar. So I know we never do this, but let's, for this problem, go ahead and put it into decimal form, and I'll show you why in 1 second. So if I have 1 1/4, I know 1/4 is 0.25. So 1 1/4 is the same thing as saying 1.25. I know it's the same thing as saying 1.25. So this first, we could take this first rate and put it as a ratio. So for 1.25 cups of sugar, we'll make 20 cookies. So 1.25 cups of sugar will make 20 cookies. Now, if you want cookies to be decent, it should be the same rate. Use the same scale. So now we don't know how many cups, so X number of cups to make 16 cookies. Here's the big thing for these. Cups, notice this is equal, so two fractions that equal each other. So cups is on the top for both, cookies is on the bottom for both. It has to be the same because you're making them equal. So now it's a proportion. So what do we do for proportions? Yeah, cross multiply, perfect, thank you. So we're gonna cross multiply. So 1.25 times 16, which will give us 20. Equals X times 20, so 20X. Getting X by itself, what should I do next? Divide by 20. So it's 20 times X, so I'm gonna get rid of that 20. So I'm gonna divide both sides by 20. If you wanna flip it around, you can. 20 divided by 20 is 1 equals X. So that means 1 cup of sugar. So you will need 1 cup of sugar. And that's it. So how can I help you with this one before going to the next one? By the way, we were able to use decimals with this problem, but not the others, because this one was just kind of weird, and it would be way more difficult to put it into improper fractions and all that stuff. And there was only a couple of these problems I seen on the homework, and all of them came out like nice like this, where the fractions didn't really matter. So to save you, just put it in decimal form. That'll be a lot easier for this problem. What else? Any other questions on this one? Ready for the next one? So the triangle BIG is similar to the triangle MOP. Find V. All right, so similar triangles. So the order of the lettering is important to us. So what it's saying is, let me use my pen because Dylan stole my highlighter. All right, so from B to I, is this side right here. That's our V side, right? So see how it's the first two letters? It matches up with the first two letters over here. So MO. So here's my MO side. So that side matches up with this side. Do you see how I'm looking at the letters to correlate? The first two letters are BI, so our BI side matches up with the first two letters over here, which is MO. So let's look at our next two letters. Let's look at IG. So IG, so this side right here, which I'm going to label it with two tick marks, two red tick marks. IG, which is my last two letters, match up with the last two letters over here, which is OP. So my OP side. So the IG side matches up with the OP side. Now, obviously, it's my last side, so these two sides are going to match up. But this is my outer letter, so BG, so this side, matches up with the outer letters over here, which is MP. So this is important because I need to make sure that I match the correct sides with the correct sides. So pausing for a second, going back to geometry. I know everyone loves geometry. I hear it all the time. But questions on that part? On how we match the sides based off of the letters that they gave us in the problem. So I want to find a proportion because similar means that I can set them equal to each other. So this V side, this is going to be my BIG triangle. This is going to be my MOP triangle. My BI side, which is V, is going to match up to my MO side, which is 42. I don't know why I'm writing it so aggressively apart, but so V equals 42. Because those two sides match up. Over. Now I need to pick another side. I don't want to pick this second side because I don't know what this value is. So let's pick this third side. So my BG triangle, that's going to be 48. And my MOP triangle is going to be 72. So this will give us a proportion that we can use to solve for V. So I use these two sides, sides 1 and side 3 for the first fraction, and I use sides 1 and side 3 for the second fraction as well. So that way they match up. These sides match up, these sides match up. So now it's a proportion, so we can cross multiply. It's a proportion, so we can cross multiply. So let's do that. So V times 72 would give us 72V equals 42 times 48. 42 times 48, which will give us 2016. 2016. So now I have an equation, 72 times V equals 2016. Getting V by itself, I can go ahead and divide both sides by 72. That way those 72's cancel. We're left over with V equals 28. What's my units? 28 what? Centimeters, good. 28 centimeters. Done. How can I help you with this one? How can I help you with this one? All right, let's go to the next page. All right, so this is super similar, which is good. Think about it as a good thing. Going back to test 1, super similar to something that was on test 1, which is a good thing because this stuff will be on the final. So solve the equation. Remember we had these on test 1 where it was all letters, but same thing. So P over D plus B equals G over D, and we're trying to get D by itself. So what do you notice about this problem? Yeah, it's a fraction. It's two fractions set equal. So that means it's a proportion. So that means we're going to cross multiply. So P times D is going to equal G times D plus B. G times D plus B. Now, I like to kind of like focus in. I'm trying to get D by itself. So I kind of like to highlight a little bit those D's that I'm looking for. So I got D's everywhere. I got D's on both sides. So let's go ahead and let's try to simplify this. So let's distribute that G. Let's distribute the G. So PD equals GD plus GB. Again, we're trying to get the D's by itself. So now at least I can move that GD to the other side with the PD and at least have my D's on both sides. So to move this GD to the other side, I could subtract, I just bit my tongue. I could subtract GD from both sides. I wish I picked different letters because I don't like saying GD all the time, but that's the problem. We're canceling those out. So PD minus GD equals GB. So at least now we both have the D's on both sides. So kind of like GCF, they both have D in common. Let's factor it out. So we take out our D, what's left over? P minus G, thank you, equals GB. So we are slowly getting D by itself. So what's our last step in order to get D completely by itself? Divide, thank you. Divide both sides by P minus G. That way those cancel. So we're left with D equals GB all over P minus G. Done. Remember, we talked about this on test 1, but just reminding you, notice that these are all lowercase letters. So whenever you type in your answer to your homework, make sure to type in lowercase letters. If they're uppercase, type in uppercase. If they're lowercase, type in lowercase. So let me put it down, people in the back can see. So questions, comments, concerns, how can I help you with this one? Ready for another one? So if we had to solve the equation 1 over R minus 4 over S equals 2 over T. We're going to solve for R, so trying to get R by itself. I just want to rewrite it so I have more room. So 1 over R minus 4 over S equals 2 over T. We're trying to get R by itself. Now there's fractions. We've been doing the fractions this whole time, but what did we do to get rid of our fractions? Multiply by the LCD. Good. So if we have R, S, and T in our denominators, what should our LCD be? RST. So let's multiply everything on both sides of the equation like we've been doing by RST. This is going to be our LCD. If you want to write it over 1, go for it. Because we are going to distribute it to every single term on both sides of the equation. Remember, I wrote it over 1. It's top times top, bottom times bottom. So RST times 1 is RST all over 1 times r, which is r, minus 4 times rst all over s equals 2 times rst all over t. So notice that rst went to the top of each fraction. The bottom stayed the same, just like we did last week. So now's our good part, our fun part. Let's cancel some stuff out. So r's cancel, s's cancel, t's cancel. So we're left over with st minus 4rt equals 2rs. So we got rid of our fractions. Remember, we're trying to get r by itself. So just like the previous problem, let's at least get r's on the same side. So let's move this negative 4rt to the other side with the 2rs. So that way at least the r's are on the same side. It's negative 4rt. So let's add 4rt to both sides. So that way those cancel. So we're left over with st equals 2rs plus 4rt. So at least now my r's are on the same side. They both have an r in common. So just like we did on the previous page, I could factor out that r as a GCF. I could factor out that r as a GCF. So we have SC, what?
Did you factor out the 2 with the r?
Yeah, great thing. You can if you want, but I'm just trying to get r by itself, so I don't really need to. But if it would be wrong if you did. That's very good thinking. But I'm just trying to get the r by itself, so just leave the 2 for now. So 2s plus 4t is left over. So our last step to get r by itself, it's r times 2s plus 4t. So let's divide both sides by 2s plus 4t. So that way those cancel. So we're left over with st over 2s plus 4t equals r. Or r equals st over 2s plus 4t. So that's our answer. Cody, by the way, if you were to have factored out the 2 with it, you would have just left the 2 out front. So it would have been the same thing as st over 2 times s plus 2t. That would have been also an answer that will work in the homework.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. What else? I think that's the last of this type problem. Yeah, last one. So before we go into module 9, questions on this one? How can I help make this easier? So notice it's the same thing we've been doing, just instead of numbers, we have letters. Also be careful. Notice these aren't the same thing. They're not like terms, so don't add them together.